Hi everybody, welcome back to Ash's Glitter Factory. Today I will finally be continuing the Grimrose Girls series. We are on part 3, which is also chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called Rory. Let's get on with the chapter. Out of all the notorious students in the castle, Rory de Suarez was probably the one most used to living in one. Not that she would ever admit to such a thing, because living in a castle was stupid, and the fact that she had lived not only in one but 3 seemed like something that counted less as a curious fact and more like a boasting. Rory de Suarez did not boast. Guess who's still in top form and ready to beat your ass? And she shouted as soon as she entered the training room in the first Friday of the semester. No answer came from the emptiness beyond, and Rory frowned. She ditched class as soon as she could. The first week hadn't been as terrible as she imagined. Well, if she didn't count the funeral. Rory refused to count the funeral. She quickly changed in the dressing room, swapping her uniform for her usual oversized t-shirts and loose shorts, her long hair and a ponytail. But not even the outfit was capable of hiding her princess-like features. Round cheeks and heart-shaped face, big blue eyes, and glorious copper hair that fell in loose waves over her shoulders, almost to her waist. She started the run, her breath in a steady rhythm as she rounded the track, lungs expanding and her heart racing, and when the pain started coming, she ignored it, as she'd always done. It was a lonely activity where she had only had herself to rely on. That was the downside of being on a team. They inevitably disappointed you. Irene had never let Rory down. Never. She continued to run, pushing herself, thinking that she would have to get back to her room where Irene's bed would be empty and Irene would still be gone. Her best friend, and Irene, who she'd seen only 6 days ago, lively and cheerful as ever, and now there was nothing left of her hurricane. Only the destroyed heart she left behind. Rory felt the tears prickle, and she clasped her eyes shut. Rory de Suarez didn't cry. She opened her eyes to see someone else in the room with her. "You're late," Rory said. "There's a first time for everything," Pippa replied, dropping her bag into a corner. "Enjoy your victory while you can. Over you, always." Pippa laughed, and Rory felt heat rise to her cheeks. Pippa pushed her braid aside, coiled black hair tied firmly back. There were muscles under her shirt, her dark brown skin showing, and Rory had caught herself admiring them more than once, not that she would admit it. Rory de Suarez was very much into not admitting anything. "Arm yourself," Rory said instead, throwing Pippa a wooden sword. "We'll settle this the old-fashioned way." Pippa caught an eyebrow, catching the sword easily. Rory hated when she did that, both the eyebrow and the catching things out of the air, like she was both strong and graceful. No one had the right to be both things at once. "Careful there," Pippa warned. "You don't want to get beaten on the first day." Rory did not reply. She attacked. Her sword was fast, but Pippa somehow was faster. She danced away from Rory's strike, parrying it with her left hand. Rory was going to end her. She recovered quickly, changing the blow to a feint striking on Pippa's right. Pippa blocked it again, her brown eyes glinting as Rory attacked. She seemed to be in a good mood, and Rory wondered if she was trying to keep her spirits up for Rory's sake. "You know the element of surprise only works once, right?" Pippa mocked. "Oh, shut up," Rory replied, and went for another blow. They fell into the usual dance Rory had always known, the rules of swordsmanship, fencing from a young age, the only dangerous thing her parents allowed because it had been under her uncle's supervision. This, however, wasn't part of the team's training. This began for fun, with improvised wooden swords and real fights that ended in bruises and blood, brawls that left Rory thirsting for more than just a clash of weapons. Her blood rushed to her ears as she moved her weapon from one hand to the other. Pippa blocked her blows, or only stepped back from them, as Rory advanced more and more until she felt her knees weaken and her body give out beneath her in a rush of pain. Rory stumbled. Pippa stopped immediately. "You okay?" "I can go again," Rory assured her. "Shouldn't you?" "Don't," Rory interrupted. "I know my limits." Pippa said nothing. Rory found her footing and lunged forward again, twisting her wrist to block one of Pippa's blows, and parried to the left. It was another misstep, and as soon as her feet landed, she felt her body aching again, and she toppled over, but not before Pippa could catch her. Pippa's hot skin and sweat stuck to Rory's neck, her arms holding her up, and Rory could feel as Pippa drew a large breath, her hands firmly around Rory's. "You have to go back to your room eventually," Pippa said, her voice low. She moved away from Pippa fast. Going down this road would end in pain and heartbreak and disappointment, her love life, if she could call it. That was off limits, even for herself. Her heart was locked behind silver gates and protected by a forest of thorns and possibly a dragon. I don't want to, Rory replied. I could if I wanted to. Pippa looked at her, her sword pointing to the ground. They never interacted outside of this, with their strict rules, only the two of them, their bodies and their swords. No words needed to be spoken, but Pippa always knew what was going on to her. Rory hated it. Pippa, over the course of 3 years, had gotten to know Rory more than she allowed anyone else to. She knew how to get around Rory's defenses, and not only with a sword, it felt like a breach, and Rory wanted to call her out on it. Challenge her to a duel. Winner gets the silence. With Pippa, though, Rory wasn't sure she even wanted to win in the first place. I hate her, Rory said, feeling her eyes prickle again. But she wouldn't let Pippa see her cry. No, you don't, Pippa said simply. You just miss her. Rory dropped her weapon, clutching her hands in the fist. She didn't kill herself, Rory said. I know the whole school is saying it, but she didn't do it. She didn't leave a note. Rory felt her voice breaking, and she did her best not to give into it. What kind of person doesn't leave a note? Pippa had no answer to that, and as she lowered to pick up the fallen weapon, she offered the sword Rory had dropped, wooden blade turned down, a gesture of peace. Rory took it. And for the briefest moment, their hands touched. Fire swept through her body, as bright as flames of her hair. Sometimes losing people will hurt you, Pippa said, and you'll have to let yourself feel it. I'll see you in practice. Pippa touched her shoulder with a gentle hand before she went, and it lingered long after she was gone. Alright, everybody, that is the end of Chapter 3. Stay tuned for the next episode. It'll probably be released shortly after Episode 3. Bye!